It's 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV for Friday, June 21st, 2024. I'm Derek Gilbert on the longest day of the year here in the Northern Hemisphere, the summer solstice. If you're watching us in the Southern Hemisphere, winter solstice. Thank you for taking a few precious minutes of the shortest day of your year to watch us, especially if you're on YouTube. Our address there is at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, click the bell for notifications, and then stick around after the break because you need to make sure that we're not going to get canceled again. I'll tell you how to do that after the break. Topic number 5 this week. Israel. Several big stories related to the ongoing conflict there. First, Israel's public broadcasting company, Khan, ran a story earlier this week, kind of a bombshell, citing anonymous sources that who claim that the IDF intelligence directorate, that's the Israel Defense Forces, their intelligence department warned that Hamas was training for a large-scale invasion of southern Israel 3 weeks before it actually happened. This report, published in September of 2023, made its way to the senior officials of the IDF's Gaza division, but then, according to Khan, were completely ignored. Now, some take this as evidence that the Israeli government or Benjamin Netanyahu personally knew that the attack was coming and let it happen to justify what's happening in Gaza right now, which critics, of course, characterize as genocide. I don't see that as a plausible explanation. Netanyahu is a nationalist, and he is a political survivor, and he's smart enough to know that getting caught off guard on this kind of a sneak attack, or at least what the public thinks is a sneak attack, probably the end of his political career. It's not clear at all that he survives this once this war is over. But there are some who will try to ascribe all evil motives to the Israelis in this conflict and ignore the 1,200 Israelis who died and the 240 who were captured and dragged back to Gaza. So Netanyahu earlier this week, trying to shore up support among the American political class for the weapons that Israel needs to prosecute the war with Hamas, issued an English language video slamming the Biden White House for slow-walking arms shipments. Biden and the White House responded by delaying a shipment of F-15 fighter jets, a sale that had been approved by Congress. As I said, never underestimate Biden's penchant for pettiness. His pier, by the way, the $230 million floating pier that was supposed to deliver aid because the Israelis were allegedly blocking aid at the border crossings, which happens not to be the case, actually, is going to be dismantled in just a couple of weeks. Turns out it's just not practical. The seas there in the eastern Mediterranean, too rough. They've only been able to operate for about 10 days there, and much of the aid, according to Pentagon spokesperson, about 70% of it being hijacked by Hamas. The Red Sea still off limits to cargo vessels. A Greek-flagged cargo ship called the Tudor sunk by a drone boat loaded with explosives from Yemen. This showing that Operation Prosperity Guardian, sadly, not really doing the job at keeping the Red Sea open to cargo shipments, which is going to have some real supply chain disruptions in the weeks and months ahead. And finally, on Tuesday, Israel's military leadership approved plans for a ground invasion of Lebanon. No word if they're actually going to proceed with that or wait for more diplomatic efforts to try to slow things down. But the fact is there's 100,000 Israelis who are still living in hotels because it's too dangerous to live along the northern border. That's 10% of the population. Here in America, it'd be like 33 million Americans having to live away from, say, the Mexican border and live in hotels somewhere else at government expense. That's just not sustainable. Something has to change. Topic number 4, Ukraine learned this week that Vladimir Putin was willing to cut a deal to end the war just weeks into the war with Ukraine back in March of 2022. The New York Times published documents over the weekend showing that Russia's President Putin, Ukraine's President Zelensky were willing to compromise to put an end to the war. But Zelensky then came under pressure from NATO, the U.S., the U.K., then U.K. Prime Minister Boris Johnson going to Kyiv to apply a little face-to-face pressure to Zelensky, the U.S. promising unlimited military support. Come to find out later in the week that Poland was also very much to blame for changing Zelensky's mind and continuing the war. Apparently, Poland's conservative ruling Law and Justice Party stirred things up between Ukraine and Poland early in 2022 to position itself to the United States and the United Kingdom as the West's most powerful anti-Russian bulwark or vanguard. So if things did get hot in Ukraine, we could depend on Poland. Now, why would the Polish ruling party do that? Well, again, they were conservative, and the political class in the U.S. and UK much more liberal, and apparently making noise about wanting to see a more liberal government in Poland. With elections coming up in 2023, the Poles wanted to shore up their position, change the mind of the Biden White House about regime change in Warsaw. And so here we are 2 years later with about 500,000 dead and no end to the war in sight, and Ukraine in a much worse negotiating position than it was 2 years ago. Topic number 3, Joe Biden. His appearance on the ballot in November is becoming less and less likely. The Daily Mail, which is a newspaper out of London, ran a story last weekend showing a scenario, and this is based on interviews with some insiders inside the Democratic Party, outlining a scenario whereby prominent Democrats, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, stage a sort of intervention with Joe Biden if he does not perform well in next Thursday's debate on CNN with Donald Trump. This is very early for a presidential debate between the two candidates because neither is officially, because they've not had the national conventions yet, neither one is officially the party nominee. They're the presumptive nominees. If Joe Biden appears at this debate to be not cognitively capable, Democrats may make a switch. The question is, who do they replace him with? Because it's also clear the Democrats don't want Kamala Harris in the White House. So who's next in line? Hillary Clinton? Maybe not at her age, not anymore. Michelle Obama has kind of made it clear she's not interested in the job. Well, I mean, why would she be? She's got a $14 million home in Martha's Vineyard. Why would she trade that for the headaches that come with the politics of the White House? This is going to be a very interesting political summer. We as Christians just need to remember it's important to how we live our daily lives, but we got to look big picture, make disciples while we still have time, and think about the coming kingdom. Topic number 2, the border. Apparently, the United States has moved the border to the Mediterranean somewhere. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas has reportedly drawn up plans to fly migrants from Latin America to Greece and Italy for resettlement. Seriously. Apparently, this is an effort to discourage people from traveling all the way to the Mexican border. I mean, go to one of our consular offices in Mexico and we'll just put you on a plane and send you to Greece. Now, this is news apparently to the Greek and Italian governments. Italian government sources contacted by reporters described this as a migration agreement with the U.S. that would involve maybe 20 Venezuelan refugees of Italian origin. Not a large-scale migration thing. And Greece's migration minister said, quote, "There is neither an agreement nor a request from the U.S. to resettle legal immigrants in Greece," end quote. So I'm puzzled, but this makes about as much sense as everything else that this White House has done regarding our southern border over the last 3 years. Coming up, a report from Harvard on cryptoterrestrials. The aliens might already be here. They could be in the room with us right now. Sure, that's next on the Friday Five.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to take a quick break to tell you how you can get your copy of both of these incredible new works in the Out of This World and Gate of the Gods special offer. When you order this incredible offer from the skywatchtvstore.com, you'll receive the brand new book, Out of This World, Are UFOs Aliens, Spirits, or Pure Hokum by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, that exposes the faults in both the science and theology regarding the existence of UFOs. The very real possibility that UFOs are manned by extraterrestrial beings much smarter and far more spiritual than humans that are preparing to deceive mankind as we approach the biblical end times. The recent surge of UFO activity all around the globe, and why Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis is calling for Project UFO, a national strategy to determine if we face an existential threat, and so much more. But that's not all. You'll also receive Gate of the Gods, Revelation, the Messiah, and the Second Coming of Babylon by Tyler Gilreath, that brings to life the war between Jesus Christ and the power of darkness as illuminated in the book of Revelation. A cosmic end-time struggle between the Hebrew king of promise and the Old Testament gods of Babylon. The hidden Babylonian framework in the book of Revelation that can only be seen through ancient Near Eastern eyes, unmasking Babylon the Great, and more. Also included in this must-have special offer for a very limited time, Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis's best-selling book, Give Me Liberty, Not Marxism, and his book, Kings of the East, China's Plan to Eliminate America and Impose a Communist World Order. All of these items hold a retail value of $84. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the Out of This World and Gate of the Gods special offer right now.
Item number 1 today, Cryptoterrestrials. Yes, a new paper, not yet peer-reviewed, somewhat speculative, suggests that advanced cryptoterrestrials could be living secretly on Earth or perhaps even in bases on the moon. This study is the work of researchers at the Harvard Human Flourishing Program and Montana Technological University. The paper introduces this term, cryptoterrestrials, to refer to an ancient human culture, more technologically advanced than our own, that somehow survived cataclysms like, the flood of Noah, although they don't say that. It's not a biblically friendly paper, but they've lived in hiding ever since. Think Atlantis and the Atlanteans, kind of going underground perhaps. The authors also consider alternative scenarios like highly advanced non-human primates, like, the Nephilim. They don't say that in the paper, but that's where my brain goes. Or reptilian entities, believed to hide their aerial craft inside mountains. Well, again, mountains very important as places of gathering for the gods in the ancient world, and the Bible does describe some of these inhuman entities, non-human intelligences, as reptilian, like the fiery serpents that afflicted the Israelites in Numbers chapter 21, Nachashim seraphim, Nachash being serpent, like the serpent in Genesis 3. The seraphim, apparently serpentine appearance. Flying fiery serpents. Wow, dragons. The bottom line is that as Christians, we can look at this paper and say, yeah, they don't quite get it, but they're almost talking our language because we know the earth has been visited by inhuman entities since the garden. And as the book of Hebrews tells us, some have entertained angels unawares. Cryptoterrestrials. Well, that leads us into this week's program on Skywatch TV, the main program focusing on the new book by Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis, Out of This World. He deals with the UFO phenomenon with the insight of a Pentagon insider for, a good long while, decades. But he also understands end times Bible prophecy. Don't miss these programs, Out of This World and Tyler Gilreath's Gate of the Gods, two fascinating books you need for your reference collection. The program right now available at skywatchtv.com. All of our video content is there. You can also catch it right now on the broadcast, our over-the-air broadcast schedule posted, skywatchtv.com/channels. If you've got Roku or Apple TV, please make sure you've got the Skywatch TV app for your set-top box. And you can get not only the main program, but these daily updates there on your set-top box. You can also catch it over the internet, rumble.com/SkywatchTV, or YouTube, the main program there at Skywatch Television. But better yet, guarantee we never get canceled. This is how you protect yourself against the gatekeepers of social media. Download our free mobile app to your smartphone or tablet. It's available for iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire phone or tablet. We have links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. You can follow us online, social media at YouTube at 5in10, and on X, formerly Twitter, at 5_in_10. And Thank you for watching. Have a blessed weekend. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.